Hi, I'm Cliff. Tonight we're unboxing a Harbor Freight brand Central Machinery 7x10 lathe. It's the mini lathe that they sell. From my understanding, these are made by the same people who make the Grizzlies and High Torques and other mini lathes that you can find on Little Machine Shop and other places. From the reviews that I've read and the review videos I've watched, they pretty much come up level as far as quality and precision with those other brands. And so I decided to make the jump and buy one of these as my first starter lathe. So we're doing an unboxing tonight. So let's get started. Let's see what's inside. From my understanding, this is going to be covered in grease. So which is required. The grease is required because it's literally shipped here on a boat and sits in storage for quite a long time. So, all right, right off rip, we've got. I see the change gears. What looks like the change gears right here. Some tools. Oh, look, give you a nice wrench. Nice blackened wrench. So let's see here. Wow. Yep, here's the change gears. Little Machine Shop for, I think it's like $200. They sell replacement gears that are machined metal. There's also some tools in there, a little oil bottle. Alright, so I want to take all this, as I get these little parts, I'm going to set them over here on my workbench where actually this lathe will end up here in a minute. I just want to get any loose stuff out. More tools. Looks like a chuck key. Looks like some handles for the spin knobs. Here's the arbor. Well, the center point for the arbor. Another wrench. Ooh, these look like they're going to be rubber feet. Now, I'm going to put these on here tonight or tomorrow, depending on how long it takes for me to clean it off. But I plan on getting online, going to littlemachineshop.com and buying a extension. You can buy a bed extension, and when I get that and attach it to this lathe, I'll actually be getting probably a piece of cold rolled steel and mounting that whole setup, that extension and this lathe to that, and bolting it down to that, and then bolting that to the table for purposes of giving it more rigidity. That's one of the things that people have said about it, is that sometimes when you're tooling, they can get a little bit of flex into them. Wow, here it is. All right, peel the plastic off. This is nice. Yes, it is covered in grease. And we've got a box. That's something. Oh, here's your shield here. The shield goes over top. This is a plastic shield that goes over top the chuck like that. And from my understanding, you bolt this on here, and if you have this lifted up, then this actuates and it kills the lathe. And I don't know if I want that on there or not. People have been using lathes for years. I mean, yeah, back in the old days, machinists would lose fingers because, 60 years ago, you didn't have OSHA and you didn't have this whole safety thing, which safety is a good thing. I like having all my fingers. I enjoy my fingers. They work. I like that. I enjoy being able to see. Manual. This is very important. Side note here, while I'm going on my rant, make sure you read the manual. People do stupid things, like they buy a piece of equipment and they go throw it on their bench, they plug it in, they start using it, and they have no idea what they're doing. They don't know what the features are because they didn't read the manual. So many things can be learned just by leafing through the manual. Anyway, back to these old machinists. My great-grandpa was a machinist. He moved from St. Paul, Minnesota down near Cleveland, Ohio, simply to work as a machinist. He got a job as a machinist. And he lost some fingertips. And that was very common to see them old people because, missing fingers because they would get in a hurry. They wouldn't pay attention to what they were doing. They wouldn't read the manual. I had a gentleman tell me a story once about this guy was an older guy, and he had all his fingers, and he was a machinist, but he worked in a General Motors plant up there in Dayton, Ohio, and he said he met several people that were older people that had started working at that plant right as it opened up, and they were all missing fingers, and the reason why was because they worked on night shift, and they didn't have a stringent supervision. And back in those days, like I said, safety wasn't a big thing. And so what they did was they had these presses that they worked in. They had to put a part in and hit 2 buttons, and the press would come down, and they'd take the part out and put another part in. Well, these people, what they would do is they would get them a piece of wire, and they would wire their 2 handles in together. And the whole point of having 2 handles was to make sure you had both hands out of the way. And they would wire these 2 switches together so they could pick up a piece, put it in, hit the press, pull it out, put it in, pull it out, and what would happen was they would get in their rhythm, put the part in, hit the button, pull it out. Put the part in, hit the button and pull it out. See, I don't even know. See, right there, I'm not even doing it on a real machine. I'm getting myself all mixed up, and just doing that one time, and bam, they lost a finger. So that's what was going on there. All right. Safety is a concern, even in the home shop, even in the hobby shop, in the workshop, the hobby shop. But that's what the bringing the rant back full circle. That's what those plastic guards are for. But what I was going to say was, many lathes, most lathes, are designed without any kind of guard right here. As long as you keep your end, there's a lot of operations where, especially if you're using like a file on your part, you got to get right in there, and so that plastic guard is going to be in the way. But that's basically just included for, literally for people who are total beginners, and they understand that people like that are definitely probably going to come buy this, and just for their own liability, they got to put that in there. All right, I want to be careful how I yank this thing out of here. I want to grab it by the arbor or by the bed, really. The chip. That's it. Okay, everybody. I just wanted to show you this real quick. If you're watching this, just so you can get an idea of what it's going to be like if you get one, or what all comes in the box. If you're considering buying one of these, just be advised. I set it up on the bench so that way it was a little bit safer to do this. But it is bolted down to this wood slab, so we'll dispose of that and get back with you. All right. So it had a couple of these 5mm metric bolts in the bottom of it, bolting it to the wooden pallet on the outside. And I got those out and got that wood off. And since I've got it laying back now on its back, let's go ahead and take a look at it here. For your viewing pleasure, we have a greasy lathe. Alright. Yeah, there's a lot of grease on here. I want to clean all of this grease off before, and off of the chip tray here before I attach the chip tray. So basically, for right now, the operation is going to be scrub, dub, dub. Scrub, 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 clean, clean, clean. What I'm using here, I got a couple of things. There's a website, I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but it's all about, beginner mini lathes, and I will post a link to it somewhere in the video. Might actually put it like right here in the video. If not, just look in the description. But he gives you an awesome list of things you're going to need. Like if you order one in the mail, while you're waiting on it to come, just go out and buy this stuff. And I was actually sitting down at dinner after I bought the lathe tonight. We stopped for dinner on the way home, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna need some stuff to clean this thing up with. So I got some Zep Commercial Fast 505 Industrial Degreaser. Removes heavy grease and grind buildup, and I got some paint thinner because I just don't know how bad this stuff is going to be. So, all right, I guess I'm going to get to cleaning, and once again, I'll get back with you. I mean, I could record this, but you guys would get bored. So, okay, I'm going to break into the manual now. All I've done so far is I just took some degreaser and sprayed it on my rag. Now you don't want to go spraying degreaser on your machine because there's places where there needs to be oil and grease just left on and not bothered or messed with, because when you take, this grease is here to protect it, and when you take off grease, you're taking away protection. And especially when you're spraying it, like there's some gears, there's a motor in here, there's some gears in here, threads here. Now you don't want all this like thick nasty grease like on your chuck or anything, because you're going to be handling that all the time. But there's just some places where it won't hurt to leave it on, especially down here where there's no paint, where the paint's kind of shoddy. Anyways, another good reason to always look through the manual first before you actually go assembling something. Just, oh, I know where to put the bolts in. Like, you might have bolts that'll thread in there, but you'll have several sets of the same type of thread, but the bolts are just a bit shorter or longer than one another, and you can stick the wrong bolt in there and have a bad time. Another thing is a lot of times they'll include something like that in there, a fuse. I don't know if you can see that. Get on there. See that? That's a fuse. So I'm sure that this manual is going to tell me where that goes, and I'm sure that it's probably already got one installed in it, but I'm also sure that some guy one day bought one of these and opened it up and had a blown fuse or something stupid happen. And go, oh no, now I gotta go buy a fuse. Oh, this junk is this is junk. That's what you get to do, Chinese. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, guess what? They gave you an extra one for your stupidity. Thank them. Let me set this on top. Set this in the toolbox. All right. Manual. Oh, important. Unpacking to remove lathe. See, I got myself already. Look. I tried to pick this lathe up out of the bottom of this box, and what do you know? If I would have just picked this straight up and went straight to the manual first. Unpacking to remove lathe from crate. 2 bolts on crate bottom must be removed. That was all planned. It was staged. I did all that on purpose. Just to illustrate more. Actually, let's see. Okay, now here this is talking about the safety guards and such. Okay, I'm gonna set that down here. For the first couple, I remember watching. I know I've watched YouTube videos for simple stuff and didn't realize how simple it was until I seen the video. I was scared to death. I was like, oh wait, it's that easy. All right, I got my impact driver here. Just a couple tap-tap. I don't want to torque these down quite yet because, like this right here, a lot of times these stamped metal parts tend to be a little bit off center, and that's not a big deal. I mean, it's just this nature of the beast. There we go. Now it's making good contact all the way around. Okay. Oh, this thing is heavy. Oh, it's heavy. I mean, to just be manipulating it like that. Okay. Well, unscrew that. Easy. And what I was saying about the grease earlier was, I mean, you want to take grease off of it, obviously. Any part that you're going to be manipulating, this, be careful, or go ahead and degrease it. When it comes to what's inside here, be careful what you degrease. I might actually just take this whole chuck off here and just wipe it down real good. Okay. Alright, I've got the tailstock removed, and here that is. And what it is back here in the back, right here on the back side of the bed, there's a set screw that keeps the tailstock from sliding all the way off. So you'll have to back that out, and they give you tools that come with this to help you do that. And I got my light down here so you can see this. But there's here, let's go back over here. As you can see, there's a considerable amount of grease here, and you don't want this grease in the V-groove or anywhere on these machine surfaces or anywhere on the bed, because this will cause you to have run out when you've got a part dogged down with the center for the tailstock. Also, something else is, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Let me zoom in on that a little bit. There's quite a bit of grease on the inside there. So you're going to have to get something long, get down in there and clean that out real good. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set my light back up here. It's kind of handy. I've been meaning to mount that light, but I'm glad I have it because I've been moving it around. These machine surfaces right in here and inside of here. And I got just the perfect thing for that. If you haven't figured it out yet, my toolbox is behind you. This is one of these Craftsman. Comes with your socket set and then a whole little rubber thing filled with a cute little bits that you can just stick in there. So it's one screwdriver. It's like 10 screwdrivers in one type deal. But take the bit out and kind of use it just to get on down in there. What made me decide I was going to buy a lathe rather than buy a mill or make a wood CNC machine? That was the project. That's what this channel's about, is electromechanics. So anything that's mechanical and electrical or both. Basically, millwrights and industrial mechanics. People who are just interested in tinkering with stuff. But this degreaser is pretty awesome. I'm glad I bought this. I'm going to shoot it down in there. But I was going to make a CNC milling machine. You know, get the CNC kit off of eBay or whatever with the stepper motors. And I kept just doing research, and I got to thinking about, you know, different parts I was going to have to make. My goal is eventually to make a CNC machine. But all these CNC machines that you see people making with these kits and stuff, they're just wood machines. And that's all good and fine. I guess you can carve up a nice little jewelry box for the wife, the daughter. But I want to make a CNC machine that will cut metal, at least aluminum. Because I think that, to me, in my mind, in the home workshop, that would be the most valuable, most useful thing, because I can get a router and cut a piece of wood willy-nilly, and be pretty accurate, but to machine parts, repair things that are made out of metal, it'd be nice to have a CNC mill. So I want to try to build one myself without having to go out and buy a $1,600 CNC or manual mill, mini mill, and then buy a CNC kit for it, etc., etc. So that's my goal. Well, the reason why I got the lathe was because I read a lot. I like to read. Tell you what, if you can't afford to buy a tool, then buy a book. A book is cheap. Buy a book for $20 to $50, depending on what the book's about, who published it, and you can learn a lot about the tool you want to buy or the process you want to learn. You can learn a lot before you ever get your hands on it, and even learn pros and cons and different things that you need. Well, anyways, I don't mean to ramble, guys, but this is a slow, boring job. I don't want to just keep turning it on and off, so I'm just going to leave it run for a bit. Yeah, that's not cool. Well, that's not bad. I expected that. One of the things that I learned while reading up on these machines, a guy said something in, I forgot what the name of the book was. I'll try to look it up later. There's this series, build your own metalworking shop or something like that. Build your own shop from scrap metal, and basically it starts off. The first book is about building a forge to melt aluminum, and then the very next book is building a lathe by pouring your own aluminum castings, making your own lathe. I'll try to put a link to that book set series. It was very interesting. Now, I'm not into the forging yet. I've kind of looked into some of that stuff. My brother is really big into it. He wants to get into that. All he talks about is building a forge. So we might see some videos coming up about building a forge, but you won't see me necessarily using it too much. But he said in that the reason why the very next book was about building a lathe was because he said, he was quoting somebody else, the lathe is the only tool in the workshop that can reproduce itself. So this is self-replicating. This is the only tool in the workshop that can machine parts that are critical and reproduce itself. And so I don't want to get jumbled up here, so let me just try to start over in saying that. It's self-replicating, but like the reason why it's self-replicating is because you can turn a piece of steel on here and put a perfect bore in it and thread it perfectly, but with a lathe. But you can't do it with this drill press in the background. This drill press might be able to make holes. Well, you can also drill holes with a lathe. So there's many different things you can do with a lathe that you can't do with other things, and a lot more. So it's the only tool in the tool shop, to the point you can do more things. It's the only tool in the tool shop that can literally reproduce itself. A drill press can't reproduce itself. A mill, CNC or not, can't reproduce itself. I think this thing is far. And so that's why I said, when he quoted that and I read that, I was like, wow, that stuck to me right away. Wow, that's moving so much smoother now. I gotta like look out there. So here's your saddle control. They had it locked in the power feed position. And that's like, you cannot use this as a lock. Okay, what they did here. They did that so that way it wasn't moving and getting jarred about during shipping. But you can't use this as a lock because it's going to turn on your power feed. Your power feed's, there's a screw underneath here and it's constantly spinning. And once you lock this lever down into place, and you definitely don't want to lock this lever down into place while the machine's running. You want to shut it off and then lock it in place. But when you lock it into place, it starts power feeding, and that's good. That's used for like screw cutting and just power feeding and just cutting in general. But that's not a lock, so I had to unlock that. And in there. But yes, get as much of this grease off the bottom of this, and I am not going to take this saddle all the way off of here. I'm just not going to do that because I got to remove screws and stuff like that. And so the grease, if any, up underneath there shouldn't be too much because I wiped all the grease off the bed actually before I cranked it back. With the grease up underneath there, it'll just, if there is any, whatever minute amount that there may be, it'll just have to wear itself out. So, all right, talk to you in a bit. Okay, some stuff has happened since you guys last seen me. About 15 minutes ago. Let me miss the spot right here. Sorry. Perfectionist type people. Alright, nothing bad's happened. It was just... yeah. I got to clean this up a little bit, and everything's fine, everything's okay. I wiped a lot of grease off the chuck here, but one thing I do want to mention is, though you're going to be, let me go ahead and just zoom in here. You're going to be handling the chuck basically every single time you handle the lathe. There we go. I'm going to focus. You're going to be handling the chuck every time you handle the lathe. Putting parts in, taking parts out, putting parts in, taking parts out. One thing that's nice about this is it's a self-centering chuck. So you turn the chuck, and the first modification I'm going to be making to this is this stupid spring. For some reason there's a spring on there, and I don't know why. So I'm going to be figuring out how to get that off. Maybe just a little tiny bit of, brute force. Oh, there we go. Alright, I'm already modifying my tools. Anyways, it's a self-centering chuck. What I wanted to say was I oops, don't have them all in there at the same time. I was making a point of, getting a lot of this nasty, greasy grease off, and you should, but I'm going to leave the grease that's in these channels and these chuck teeth and these jaws. I'll leave that in there because that can't do nothing but help, and it's not going to be you touching that all the time. So here we are. I've got this about as cleaned up as I need it to be right now. Got a lot of that grease off there, out of that bed. Go ahead and move this forward. There's a little glob right there. I don't want it to be in the way of anything. I know I keep stepping in front of the camera, blocking. Okay. One thing you're going to notice about this, this handle's on here correctly, but they pack it with this handle backwards. So first things first, we're going to pop this handle off here. And they don't have that screwed on there very tight. We're going to take this handle off. So lock washer and flip it around like it's supposed to be. Also, don't know where I put it. Set it down. This comes with another set of jaws for the chuck. Pretty nice, smaller ones looks like. There was a screw coming out of this thing, and what it was for the idiot guard that goes on here. I'm not putting this on here. Okay, period. I'll wear safety glasses. I don't want this to be in here. I want this to be like this. I'm trying to line up this handle so that it's perpendicular to the 0 line on my readout here. Just because I like things to be like that. I'm going to tighten this down until you meet some resistance. Like that. Okay, boom. Crank this way just a bit. Wipe off some grease boogers. Yep. And here's this cross slide. Oh, that's feeding it in. Back it off. Now, to change, you can change the pitch of the cross slide. You see it's going this way, and we have this angle readout right here. But to do so, if you're watching the unboxing, I'm sure you've watched reviews on it. You should know that you have to back this saddle all the way back, the compound all the way back, to get to there's screws underneath this. And I'm not going to back all that off right now, but there's screws underneath this, and that's how you have to loosen those screws up, and that's how you change the angle on that. I want to move our tailstock up into position. Just slightly snug there. Start screwing this back screw back in. Thanks for being patient with me, guys. I'm sorry if I kept getting in the way. That's about it. It basically comes assembled, other than those wiping the grease off. A couple screw knobs here. Here's one, and the other one's in the back here, and I'll show you that here in a second. Basically, they do give you all the tools you need to assemble it, except for a flathead screwdriver. Here's the knob for the tailstock. This is really the flathead screwdriver. Lock in. Here it is. All right. Pull off a little bit so that way. This here center. Bring that back into. Oh, we can just see 0. Cam off that boy and bam. There it is, ready to go. Almost. Here's all this. This is after I took the back cover off. So. There's the if you look in there, focus camera. There, yeah, it's kind of focused a little bit. Right there is one of the drive gear on the end of the motor shaft and the belt that's going around it. Okay? If you look right here, this silver piece right here at the tip of my finger, that's the motor shaft. That is plastic, okay? 90% of all the gearing and whatnot in this thing is plastic. These are all plastic. Hard plastics, mind you, but plastic still. And what I was talking about was, and also these here are the change gears that come with it. So you put these on here so that way you can feed at different speeds, and that's specifically for screw cutting, because this does do screw cutting. Right here's a screw cutting adjustment, and that's what I was talking about. That's the automatic feed right there. That's That's not a saddle lock, that's the engagement for the automatic feed. And so you put that down and kind of got to hoss with it a little bit, get it in perfect, and then boom. This is set up to do inch threads, so imperial threads. Little Machine Shop on website sells what you need, the threads down here, to convert it to metric threads. That will be another add-on. So here's so far. Yes, I can use it right now out of the box as it is, and I even bought tooling from Harbor Freight. They had for like $17. They had a box of 10 cutting heads. Here are the upgrades that I am for sure absolutely going to do as soon as feasibly financially possible. Number one is I'm going to spend about $150 to $200. I think that's what it is. On Little Machine Shop, you can get a whole set of metal gears, change gears, and that also comes with a drive gear, the one that I was showing you when I was zooming in back in there. It comes with metal drive gears for the shaft, for the spindle, and for the motor in the back. So I'll be replacing all the gears with metal gears. I'll be buying a metric thread screw for the automatic threading feed. I will be buying this right here is one of the main things that guys in reviews talked about, is this tool post right here. It's kind of got this cute little cam on it, but everybody says it's hard to use. It doesn't hold tools very well. So there's a company, somebody said that they had bought one. I'm going to be buying a quick change tool post. And I'll when I go to do these, to buy these upgrades, I'm going to make a video all about that too. But there's a guy that said he had bought one, a certain one, and I'll find out what it is and I'll show you guys. But he said it was made out of aluminum and it was kind of given a little bit of torque and didn't have as much rigidity as it should have. So I'll be getting the all metal, the all steel one from Little Machine Shop. But I'm going to be getting metal change gears, full set, including the drive shafts. I'll be getting a quick change tool post, an add-on. It's not a replacement for, but it's an additional screw cutting thread screw down here for the thread cutting. I'll be buying an extension from Little Machine Shop that literally bolts onto the end of this and extends it out another 14 inches or something like that, 14 or 16 inches. And so far that's all that's on the list. Besides like things like, like I'll probably tomorrow I'll go buy a chuck for it to put in here so I can put drill bits in there and other tools and stuff like that. And probably buy another chuck. So all that plus things I would like to have, they're not a priority to get like these other things that I just listed are. Those are priority things that I'll be getting for this, because this is going to be a hobby, but there are some projects. I bought this because my hobby is not turning metal and cutting it. My hobby is building machines. So I expect this to perform for me, and a lot of people have said that it will perform very precision work, and that's what I want to do, but I'm going to be making other machines, and this is my starting point. So other things that I would like, so those upgrades that I just mentioned, those are absolute mandatory. That's happening ASAP. Other things I'd like to have, they make a gear reduction kit that I guess it gives you finer speed control on it. I would like to get digital readouts for sorry if the camera's crooked. I'd like to get digital readouts for the saddle there, guys, I'm sorry, it's almost 11 o'clock at night. The witchamajiggy that makes the tool go back and forth. You know what I'm saying here. And there's also, now these add-ons, a lot of these, they're $100 a pop. $100, $100. I'm getting ready to take, this little hobby lathe and probably turn it into like $1,000 project. for that price, I can go on Craigslist and buy a big lathe, like an Atlas or something. But like I said, I bought this because it's in my price range right now, and I get my hands on it right now and start learning. Okay, and later on when I get better at this stuff and understand it more, then I can go out and save up, you know, my $1,000. But they make a digital readout for these. They make digital readout for these. They make a digital readout to show you the RPMs, the speeds, because this right here, this is what you got for speed control. This stupid thing out of the way. All right, you got your forward and reverse. The actual power that turns it on. From my understanding, you plug it in. Well, hey, you know what? What the hey? All right, let's turn it on. Click a direction. You turn the power on, and then this is a click off knob, and you just click this on for speed. And there it goes. See the gears working back here? Let's roll this back. Oh, okay. There it is. And I mean, there's really no way you can estimate how fast it's going. There's no real way of knowing your actual RPM, and it's really important to know your RPM for your speeds and feeds. And that's why really that digital readout that shows me the RPM, that'll probably really be one of the first things I do get. So let's shut that off real quick. I want to go ahead and engage the auto feed here. Turn it back on and watch it go. Oh, hey, it's spinning it the other way. Oh, that's right. There's a lever back here that decides which direction the feed goes. Let's try that again. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Harbor Freight lathe, fired up and running. Tomorrow, we'll be cutting something. All right, thanks for watching.